Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
Pete, what was the justification for the C here? What did you not like about Minnesota's draft class?
They moved up and down the board, and I don't think I think at times they gave away too much to do it. I think they could have stood pat and still ended up with a lot of the guys they ended up with. I thought they got a little aggressive at times, Brady. That's why I kind of dropped them down a little bit. Look, I like Lewis Cine. I think he's a good player. I really do. But I just think the way they maneuvered the board, they were sitting high in the first round at one point. Did it really work out that well for them? I don't know.
Okay. I love how there's just so many analysts that evaluate the draft. Like, everyone's got to give a grade, right? Yep. They don't know. Pete Prisco from CBS basically just said with his camera setup in the background, he's got 9 footballs and football. Going to give a grade to the Vikings. Football. And they said, Pete, why'd you give him a C? And he's like, well, they just moved up and down, and I don't know. Okay.
Well, let's see, and if I was going to do grades, I think I would give every team a C, because you
don't know,
they all did okay.
Well,
everyone drafted guys
people are like the Jets had an amazing draft. Look at all the players the Jets drafted. How many times have we said, boy, look at all the talent that the Jets or the Lions or whoever, and then you look 5 years later and it's like, oh. I saw a list today of so what we're really going to talk about here in a second is Garrett Bradbury. The Vikings reportedly have declined his 5th-year option, which means he will play out the final year of his contract, his rookie skill contract this year, and then instead of bringing him back for a 5th season, he will become a free agent. We can get to that in a second, but I saw a list of all of the draft picks from that season in the first round, and there's like 12 or 14 that are not going to have their 5th-year option picked up. Daniel Jones, Josh Jacobs, a bunch of meat and potatoes linemen and stuff. So, it's just like, well, what grade do you give them?
Well,
I don't know. A C? Like,
the silliest one was 2 years back when Spielman made 15 picks, and he got just glowing grades because look at all the players he got.
Yeah.
Like, you got no clue.
Yeah.
15 guys, though. Yeah, okay, it's 15 people. That's awesome.
Yeah, and, some of them are panning out, but how do you know in the moment? By the way, this is Purple Daily Vikings Entertainment. What's the grade on this show? Clearly a C, probably. Yeah, maybe a C plus.
Some days.
Yeah, somewhere in there. But the show is presented by Surly, A+, and TCL, A+, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. New lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. We reject 500 football on this show. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die, and that means having a decent offensive line. Garrett Bradbury has been one of the worst graded centers in the NFL through the first 3 years of his career, and the new regime comes in, and there's a million big decisions that they have to make, but one of them is Garrett Bradbury's 5th-year option, and they've decided to not pick it up. These 5th-year options make it for kind of an awkward situation in that you have to decide essentially 5 months before the season starts of his 4th year if you want to bring him back for a 5th year.
Right.
It doesn't prevent them from signing him in free agency if he has a big season. But what do you make of this? The Vikings are kind of, and we'll see what they do here. Maybe my guy, J.C. Treader, becomes an option. But right now, Garrett Bradbury is your starting center. But they're also not committed to him beyond the 2022 season.
J.C. Treader, damn it, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You just got to keep saying it
into existence
every single day. 2 things here. One is if you're going to draft a center in the first round, you best to be right because it's the type of position that you can definitely find guys. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Saints took theirs in the same draft, of course, not in the first round, and he's turned out to be a very good player. And so this is a first round disaster is probably too strong, but it's a pretty big whiff. It's a pretty big miss because, when you take this position first round, you are thinking, and I don't care if it's 1 or 32, you're thinking problem solved for a long time. Bradbury has basically proven since day one that was a huge reach. In fact, I think I have rethought my my strategy in life on where to take guys at times because of this. Because at the time I thought, well, I mean, this is the final piece to a puzzle of a team that's pretty good, or a key piece, I should say, not final, key piece. And I mean, it's just been wrong. He's just been, he has done nothing that I personally have seen that I think, oh, you know what? I'm seeing improvement there. The second thing, and this is probably why Rick Spielman right now, his team, CBS Sports, not the Vikings, not the Jaguars, not the Steelers, CBS Sports. The Vikings have not picked up the fifth-year option on a player since Trey Waynes.
Wow.
Since Trey Waynes. Let's go through them.
Just pulling this up. That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for those who aren't.
Treadwell. Yep.
This is only first round picks. Only.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like we get on a roll on this show, and
Oh yeah.
So when you draft a player in the first round, you get the option of it's a team option for a fifth year.
It's what makes a first round pick valuable because you basically can tie that player up for an extra year where you can't second through seventh.
Yep. The other rounds, I believe, are all 4-year contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So
they are. You're correct.
So all right. Sorry to interrupt you there, but
no problem. So yes, we've got Laquan Treadwell, 2016 draft, was a massive bust. Correct. 2017, they didn't have a first round pick. Now they took Dalvin Cook with their top pick in the second round, but still Cook didn't have, because of that, the fifth-year option on his contract. Mike Hughes, unfortunately, got hurt, got traded to the Chiefs, so he was not an option to pick that up. Bradbury will be a no. Justin Jefferson will end that streak at some point in time here, but keep in mind, too, as a demerit, as good a pick as Jefferson was, the demerit is this. Jeff Gladney got cut after 1 year because of off-the-field troubles.
Yeah.
So like, this is, when you're taking guys in the first round and you are batting what Spielman did at the end as far as picking up options, that's a major problem.
And then before that, Teddy Bridgewater was one of 2 first-round picks in 2014. You wound up that was more injury reasons, but just attrition. He didn't hold up, and you wound up. Anthony Barr, you did pick up.
Yep.
The fifth-year option.
Yep.
The previous year, 2013, you had 3 first-round picks. Cordero Patterson. I don't think they picked up his fifth-year option, did they? We see.
No, he was declined.
4 years with the Vikings, and then to Oakland in 2000. So they didn't pick up his fifth year. Sharif Floyd, they didn't pick up his fifth year because of injury.
Yep.
Xavier Rhodes, they did.
Yep.
And then Matt Khalil the year before, I don't think they picked up his fifth-year option. So, and now we're going back. I mean, Matt Khalil is, God, time flies. 10 years ago.
Yeah, he's an old man now.
Years ago, man.
He's an old man.
But you think about, you're not going to hit on all your first-round picks, but during this time where Mike Zimmer is on the hot seat, gets fired, and now KOC comes in, just imagine the luxury if either Mike Hughes or Jeff Gladney, if one of those two guys is on your roster and a rock-solid, maybe Pro Bowl caliber starter, if you had nailed one of those cornerbacks and Garrett Bradbury, just how much of a difference that can make. I know it's only 2 guys on a 53-man roster, but your offensive line doesn't have the weak link that it does. You're not going back to the drawing board for cornerback help again in the second round this year. Right. So it truly is. And at the time, that 2019 draft, they were 15 months removed from a trip to the NFC Championship game, and so they were very much in win now mode. Kirk Cousins in his prime. So it's certainly not the biggest bust in franchise history, but because there's a lot of other guys that are more embarrassing. You had your list last week, but it is a noteworthy whiff, and I think that whiff has led to some changes here and more changes going forward, because now they have a blank canvas at center starting with next year's draft, unless they do something here in the next month with a trade or something, right? I mean, they're back to the drawing board at that position.
And the other thing too is just as far as positions that you would take in the first round as being worth the chance of missing on. Quarterback. You don't want to miss, but okay, it's a quarterback, right? Center is near the bottom of that entire list.
You can't miss.
If you miss, you are going to be fired.
Because there's like 5 other more important positions.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can prove that you can find them throughout the course of the draft. Yeah, that's a position when you're like, we are going to stake our future on Garrett Bradbury at the spot. You better damn well be sure you're 1,000% correct.
Yep. Because there are other quality players in and around that area that you could have drafted. What do you guys make? I brought this up briefly, but just to go down this path, the 5th-year option timing is weird. And maybe you can help explain why this happens. So you're basically telling a guy going into off-season camp before his 4th year, you're saying, yeah, we're not really that into you. We definitely don't want you around after this year is over, but we really need you to be fully engaged and all in, which now that it's a contract season, he also has incentive to do so. You saw it with the Rams last year. So Brian Allen is their starting center. They drafted him, I think, the year before Garrett Bradbury. Mm-hmm. He was like a 4th-round pick, and he had some injuries. He was ineffective and had some injuries, and then last year was his big year. Now, because he was a 4th-round pick, they didn't have the 5th-year option, so last year was just his 4th year and his contract year.
Right.
But they through scheme and through coaching, they squeezed a ton of toothpaste out of that tube last year, and now Brian Allen got a nice little contract. So it can be done with this system, but it's one thing for a guy to be drafted in the 4th round and you finally get him to emerge in his 4th year, but like it's another thing to tell a guy before his 4th season, hey, we don't want you around after this year because we don't think you're very good and you're not worth extending or exercising the 5th-year option.
Right.
But you're totally our guy. We need you in the center of this offensive line to anchor things and have a great relationship with the staff and with Kirk Cousins. You know, it's weird.
Or best case that you're going to be our starter. We're not going to pick up what is not an extremely expensive option, but it's not as cheap as what you definitely have spent the first 4 years of your career playing for. But we might give you an extension after that'll probably be cheaper. So yeah, it's here's my problem too. When it comes to Bradbury, I honestly don't think that there's a lot more there. Like, I don't think it's, he's going to really show up now in unbelievable shape and be fatter and be, I guess my question is this. What's going to make him not be who he is? Because he doesn't want to be beaten at the line of scrimmage consistently. He doesn't want to be thrown into the stands by defensive tackles consistently.
He's trying his hardest.
He's right. But I'm saying, like, I don't think that this is I don't think this is an effort thing. I don't think that this is he doesn't care thing. I think Spielman just whiffed here. Yeah. And so I see what the Vikings are doing. Now, I do think this leads to a very interesting discussion, and if something does not change here soon, second guessing. What is your plan for competition here? Because in my opinion, you can't send the message that the Vikings are sending right now and then be like, not only do we need you, but you are the unquestioned starter. Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something completely here. You need to have some type of plan to say, you're going to compete. You might win the job, but make no mistake, you're going to win the job. It's not being gifted to you.
Yeah. And
if that's the J.C. Treader plan, as Mackey's been trying to speak into existence for the last 6 weeks now, that's great. If that's Wyatt Davis or someone that we don't know yet that's going to be brought in here to potentially give the competition, I would judge. There's no chance that they're just letting it ride with Garrett Bradbury with no backup plan and also no plan going forward in 2023. Like, even if Bradbury plays exceptionally well, is he going to be inclined to do an extension with the Vikings? I don't know. So I think there's clearly some contingency plan being in place that we don't know yet.
Yeah, well, and the Vikings are also, the next couple of years, they're still really strapped for salary cap space and paying, let's say he has a big enough year to warrant you having interest in extending him. Well, that means other teams are also going to have interest in signing him to a contract, right? Because he's still pretty young. He's like 27 or 20, whatever he's going to be when he's a free agent.
Absolutely.
So are you really going to want to then get into a battle with 3 other teams in free agency for a non-premium position? It's a very important position, but it's not like tackle. There's some spaces where I'll pay a wide receiver. I'd rather pay Justin Jefferson and then go find a center in the 4th round of the draft or something. But just for fun, I was looking at who are the best centers in the NFL right now after last season, and what round were they drafted in. It's very rare that you see first-round centers, and that's for a reason. Teams are drafting tackles, they're drafting edge rushers, they're drafting cornerbacks and quarterbacks, and then you can kind of find a center later on. Well, the top centers, according to Pro Football Focus, were Creed Humphrey, Corey Linsley, Jason Kelsey, David Andrews with the Patriots, J.C. Treader, my guy, Matt Hennessy, Ben Jones, and Connor McGovern. Those guys were drafted in the 2nd, 5th, 6th, 4th, undrafted 4th and 5th rounds. John Sullivan was a really good center for the Vikings for a few years. Wasn't he like a 5th or a 6th round pick out of Notre Dame back in whatever year it was, 2008, 2009?
5th round, I believe.
So, yeah, are you a little surprised that they didn't draft a center this year?
A little bit, yes. Yes, which leads me to believe that I wonder if they've got Reed, if they're going to not have him play right guard and allow him to compete. He has played some, I don't know how much, at the center position previously, but he's a veteran guy who's got experience there. I wonder if he's going to be the competition, because the more I think about it, Wyatt Davis took some snaps there in training camp, but I mean, the previous administration was not basically willing to allow him on the field. So I'm hard-pressed to think that he's going to show up and be the main competition for Bradbury. Reed might make a little bit more sense, because there's some type of plan. There has to be.
You know, I was looking to, I went digging through his career. I couldn't find any regular season snaps at center for Reed, but it doesn't mean that he didn't take off-season snaps at center or preseason at some point. And looking through Garrett Bradbury's old NFL.com scouting report from a few years ago, a lot of these things on the weakness side, a lot of these things were just never overcome. He just never overcame them. Falls slightly below NFL size averages for the position. Forward lean into pass sets could open him up to counters by defensive linemen. Regularity of punch mechanics make him predictable for hand counters.
Football. Should have taken that seriously.
And his pass protection in college benefited from quick game and play action attack, which is when he's at his best in the NFL, it's because he's not expected to hold up for very long, right? So on one hand, Garrett Bradbury, it was nice knowing you. On the other hand, needed to lock in because you're still the starting center for this team.
That is a great message. Garrett, we don't trust you at all, but we need you for 2022.
Yeah. Like with Cordero Patterson, it was, hey, we totally don't trust you, and you're not one of our top 2 wide receivers, but you're still going to be on the team, and we'll just kind of figure out a role for you. For Garrett Bradbury, it's like, we really need you. You're the only center on the roster right now.
You got to protect Kirk with your life, but you're not going to be paid for 2023 by us, at least.
Yep. All right, let's talk about Livia and the work that Judd has done to lose all sorts of weight the last 6 months, looking much more like an undersized center now. Judd?
That's exactly right. But in this case, I'm glad to be down 40-plus pounds, thanks to my friends, as Phil just said, at Livia Weight Control Centers. I want you to join me on a plan that in dropping the weight is as simple as I've ever been on before. And here's the best part right now, keeping the weight off, because that's the key to life. The new Simple Start plan, only $59, plus what you'll get is one-on-one personalized and guided support online or in person from the Livia team of experts. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com, Livea.com. Drop the weight now. Keep it off. All those clothes will fit again. Summer's coming. You'll feel great. You'll look great. And as I've always said, folks, if I can lose the weight, so can you. Livea, Livea.com.
Yes. And you know what? One of my favorite moments
what?
Of the Thursday night Surly draft party was when we started talking about Chill Boys. We literally got an ovation from people. Not us. Chill Boys did.
Yeah, I was going to say it wasn't us. That's the important thing. You're right.
We transitioned into a discussion about Chill Boys, and I don't know, 20, 25 people toward the front of the crowd started. Literally, they popped for it. Almost like a wrestling entrance sign. Yeah.
They were rushing the stage to get the free Chill Boys that you were throwing out into the crowd.
The most comfortable underwear that we have ever put on in our lives. What's one word to describe how Chill Boys make you feel right now in this moment?
Fantastic.
Thankful. I'm very thankful because I'm chilled out from that Wild game because if it wasn't for them, I'd be even more antsy right now. So I'm chilled out. Thank you to Chill Boys.
I'm going to say protected. They make me feel protected. Yeah. They make me feel snug, as Randy in Cottage Grove would say. It's a Minnesota-based company. You can find them online. Tell them Score North or Purple Daily recommended them to you. Chillboys.com. So, we do a couple episodes a week of Purple Daily Reads the Comments. You guys do one early in the week, and then we do a group one for Saturdays usually. But we get so many messages from people via the Score North app, via Twitter, Instagram, even TikTok. Now, Judd was live on TikTok at the X last night, that we figure let's mix in some more comments and feedback from people throughout the week here. We can do like 2 or 3 little segments throughout the week, especially in the off season here as the news cycle lightens up. So I got a couple things from listeners here for you guys, starting with Tyler M on Twitter as Purple Daily dives into the comment section. A little reckless speculation, he says.
Love it.
Reckless speculation.
But I feel like Booth was the number 2 corner in this draft right behind Stingley. All the other guys jumped shortly after the end of the season, and I think that's a media thing. Also, they definitely like Kellen Mond. They didn't sign or draft any other quarterbacks. Mannion doesn't count because he came back as a free agent. I think they want to give Mond a shot. I watched a lot of his games since I'm from down south here, and I really liked him in college. I still argue with friends and say he was a better prospect than Lance and Wilson, 100,000%. What are your thoughts? I mean, listen, if you were to rank, now that we know how far Malik Willis slid, Kellen Mond in last year's draft went higher than all but one quarterback in this year's draft. So is it fair to say that Kellen Mond would have been the best or second best rated quarterback prospect in this year's draft?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. And here's the thing. I have heard, and this is why I just don't know. I have heard completely conflicting things from people I trust about Mond. Some think he's terrible, that he's going to be a complete wash. Some are like, well, no, he didn't get a chance. It's so hard to say. And like, my question is this: what have we seen? Like nothing. The Packers game, okay, totally unfair. That was a bunch of crap. Was Zimmer's? Have you seen, or you've seen him in practice? Comment. Does Mike know what he was watching? Like, or was he just mad? I just don't know. I think it's such a reach to say Kellen Mond is going to be a bust, and I think it's a reach to say he's going to be great. Do I think that this coaching staff across the board thinks it can get a lot, especially from offensive guys, that the previous staff couldn't? Yeah, that's fair, right?
Yeah. It is in this organization's best interest. And honestly, it's in Kirk Cousins' best interest to have an actual competent backup quarterback. Because guess what happens when you're Kirk? You go. I know he's been one of the healthiest quarterbacks since he started with Washington. He is as durable as any quarterback in the NFL. But you're one hit away from missing a month. You're one hit away from missing 6 weeks. Look what happened to Russell Wilson. You follow through on a pass, your thumb hits someone's hand, boom, you're out for 5 weeks. Yep. Could Kirk throw a pass? Thumb hits a defender's helmet. All of a sudden he's out for a month. Yeah. Well, you need someone to keep the season alive for you. Sean Mannion is not an NFL quarterback. Maybe he's an NFL assistant coach that takes up a 53-man roster spot. But you're not winning a game with Sean Mannion as your starting quarterback against a quality opponent, the Green Bay Packers. You got smoked in that game. Your season was on the line, and you had absolutely no chance because Sean Mannion is not an NFL quarterback. So if you're Kirk and you miss a month, don't you want someone stepping up who can actually maybe win a couple games and keep your season alive? And if you're the Vikings, because Kirk, he keeps signing short-term contracts, you want options in that quarterback room. And it feels like it's been, basically since they signed Kirk, it's been like 4 years since they've had options in the quarterback room, and that has to change. So maybe they can turn Mond into one of those options starting this offseason.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty impressive decision by the Vikings brass to say, hey, we're not going to draft a quarterback, so we probably see something in Kellen Mond. And to the point of having a competent backup, like look, I know I joke about liking Drew Lock, but when Drew Lock was on the trading block last year, like, do I feel like Drew Lock could have potentially stepped into that Green Bay game and gave the Vikings a chance to win? Yeah, I feel a lot better than Sean Mannion, dude. Also, did we forget what happened in 2017 when Sam Bradford magically, his knee just all of a sudden falls off for the 100th time, and Case Keenum steps in and leads this team to a 13-win season. Gus Frerotte leads this team and helps them get a division in 08. Like, you have to have a viable backup option, and it's not Sean Mannion. God bless him, but it's not him.
Except don't forget one thing. This is the same team that after Kirk signed here brought that guy from the Calgary Stampeders in, and he was all cocky, and he's like, I'm here to compete with Kirk.
I'm here to play, yeah.
And they basically said, oh, no, that's not how this is going to... No, but my point is, they said your starting quarterback can't handle that. So, like, that's a very important thing. Don't forget that, because I agree completely. I mean, have a backup that can play, no question. But it's very telling when the management said, that's not what we want. We want a guy who can hold hands and be good in the room. That's part of my problem with Kirk. Like, that's not a positive to me.
Yeah. So, Sean Mannion has started 3 games in his career. 37-10 loss against Green Bay. There was a game. He started the last game of the year 2 years in 2019 against the Bears. Just kind of a meaningless game. They got beaten that game.
Yes.
And then he made a start with the Rams in 2017, last game of the year. That was the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl, I'm pretty sure. And the Rams got smoked by the 49ers, 34-13 in that game.
So
backups playing.
So best potential is that he is going to turn out to be KOC.
And that seems like a great
someday.
Yeah, seems like a great path. He should be he'll be an offensive coordinator in like 4 years, something like that. 5 years. Quarterbacks, awesome. Coach, coordinator.
He could be, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Nate Bohawk via the Score North app says, I think Sid Hartman did us Minnesotans a disservice from a media perspective, and it messed with multiple generations of fans. Thank you guys for keeping it real. So we touched briefly yesterday, can't remember if it was on Purple Daily or Mackie and Judd, on just the pushback that you get for demanding and cheering for excellence. That, just if you criticize your team because they're coming up short, that you're a bad fan somehow, which that doesn't exist in some of the other big sports markets. But, Judd, you've been around longer than we have. How much did Sid Hartman and his overly positive, defending all the coaches and stuff, how much did he impact a couple generations of the way that fans maybe settle for mediocrity in the Twin Cities?
I think that point that was brought up is a great one. I've said that before. I think fans at the time, especially when Sid was in what would be considered his heyday, were a little bit more pessimistic and a little bit different. But look, I think Sid set a tone for this town that has been carried on by some. They're doing a great job of basically blindly supporting the teams and coaches and players because they're sort of your friends and you're associated with them. And Sid was the first that I know, at least in this town for sure, to ridicule those for questioning why teams weren't doing more. Like, he would literally make fun of people for it, And so, I think that is spot on. Unfortunately, what's I think taking place too, and this goes beyond Sid, is fans are more now apt to want that. And that is more because of, it's very sneaky, but that's more, in my opinion, because of what? Teams run their own websites now, right? And they cover themselves. They cover their own teams. And so now, Vikings.com is writing about the Vikings. You think they're going to be critical? They're going to tell you if you don't support the Vikings, something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Bally Sports North comes along. And, announcers used to be far more unbiased. There was no we back in the day. And now coming up, I'm going to tell you last night, while the Wild didn't play a great game, Jared Spurgeon at home. You want a guy that wouldn't cross-check a soul? Jared Spurgeon with his kids. That's coming up next on Wild Live.
Coming up next, look at Jared Spurgeon handling a new batch of kittens. Lovable kittens.
Oh, and there's no stick there. Then on Becoming Wild, see how Matthew Boldy is volunteering at the church down the street from him before he goes to the bar. So, like, all of these things have changed. But yes, Sid was definitely at the forefront of doing what people do to us now, which is mocking those who dare to question.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I've got friends who are Boston sports fans and stuff, and I have a friend who's a Patriots fan. And I was like, What's it like? You guys? Oh my God, I get pissed every. They could be the undefeated season in 2007, and they're still pushing. And I think teams pick up. Do I think that fans have a direct influence on personnel moves? Not necessarily, but I think if an ownership group feels like, oh, we can just kind of fill the seats and not really contend for championships year after year, then like what's going to push them to be a little uncomfortable? If the media won't do it, if people with microphones won't do it. It's not because you're hating. It's because ultimately, and we say it at the beginning of the show all the time, we want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl. You're hating on Kirk Cousins. No, I'm merely pointing out that his teams have been exactly 500 for 7 years, and there's reasons for that. Doesn't mean I'm hating him. It just means that I'm being realistic. I don't know.
Fans can definitely influence patience of franchise.
Now, you don't want to turn it into like sometimes I feel like the Jets just make rash moves, and the Browns.
It has to be smart people.
They got
It
rabbit
can't be
ears,
morons.
right? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, can't be idiots.
I have a surprise for you here in a second. Something you asked for, but first, let's shout out our friends at Surly. What an amazing event last Thursday! If you missed it, there's a 4.5-hour live stream you can find on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Judd's either holding a Surly mug or a candle. Can't tell there.
It's my Surly coffee mug, which, by the way, my coffee tastes great from this. Yes, the folks at Surly do a great job. Of course, they've got all of those delicious beers. And the lead beer, the lead back, the Bell Cow. Well, that of course, is my favorite. Surly Furious, which is absolutely delicious. And in fact, last night, as bad as that hockey game was, gents, I did get some people on Twitter who were at the game, and guess what they did? They showed us their cans of Surly. Because while the game itself stunk, you know what doesn't? A good old-fashioned Surly Furious in particular. Try it out. And if you know what? If you have occasion, you got the camera phone, take a picture, show us your cans. Or as Declan says, show us your taps. At Jay Zolgad on Twitter.
You know, something else that you shouldn't drink, but that you should be interested in is Aquaside, another new partner for us here on Purple Daily.
Yeah, Aquaside is a proud sponsor of Score North here. They jumped back board on Mackie and Judd and Purple Daily. And if you owned a pond or you own a lake home, you need to call my friends at Aquaside. They've been helping people maintain nice lake shores for over 60 years. They have a complete line of lake and pond control products that will take care of anything from weeds to algae. You want to get rid of all that? You want to get your toes in the sand, get your feet in there, finally enjoy this dang summer weather.
Okay, Zach Brown. Okay.
All right. You know, pop a guitar down there, do whatever you want. Okay, I like to play guitar. I like to put my toes in the sand, for God's sakes. And I would call my friends at Aquaside, who are live in White Bear Lake, and they're live and local here. So check them out. They're registered with the EPA and the DNR. Aquaside.com.
All right, surprise.
I want a mock!
It's not a McShay. I don't know where McShay's hiding. McShay, you can't hide from a 2023 mock.
I think he quit. I think he stopped.
Don't hide.
I think Mitch Leitner drove him out of the business of 2020.
This is your life, McShay. Confront your reality.
I don't think he does
you
anymore.
You owe us a 2023 mock.
I like what you're doing, but I don't think he's going to do it. I think
you coward. Coward.
Mitch
he's a coward.
Coward.
You're not a true mocker if you can't put out a 1 year in advance mock draft.
Come on. Tot.
But we do have from Dane Brugler a 2023 mock draft from The Athletic.
Oh, Brugler, yeah. Oh, this is good.
Okay.
Awesome. I want a mock!
So, Judd, you're on the hunt. You want the Vikings to draft a quarterback. I have not seen this at all. Just log me out. God, are you serious?
Oh, what's going on?
No, I don't want your newest offer. I just want to log in, for God's sakes.
You know, Walter Football, this wouldn't happen on walterfootball.com.
There is a subscription platform to walterfootball.com. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. I want the list.
I don't know what you get.
I want to know how many people subscribe to that.
Are you doubting the power of Walter Football?
No. I'm just curious on the people who still subscribe.
I think you
to
are.
It.
I think you're doubting the power of Walter Football.
Look, there's plenty of subscription-based services out there that always spam flash sales and spam sales and get this for $1, get this for months. I just want to know what Walter Football's doing.
Okay, Walter Football. Here, I found it. Okay. Pure Walter Football with no advertisements for $7.99 a month. Let's click the read more here. A letter from Walt. I've made a promise throughout the 22 years of running Walter Football that all the content would be completely free because of employee salaries, ridiculous corporate taxes. And how many employees does WalterFootball.com have? Is there like an army of WalterFootball.com?
He's got Walter Jr., Walter the Third.
Family name.
We had some debate about what the cost of Walter Football Premium would have to be. I initially thought $10 a month would offset the cost, but after crunching the numbers, $8 a month is definitely feasible. So it's a $10 value for $8 a month.
That is such a rope-a-dope right there.
It is.
I
Listen,
was gonna charge you more.
we thought it was going to be $1,000 a month, but I guess we can do it for $8. I guess we can do it for $8. We'll just have to cut some corners here. We might have to get rid of the 2027 mock draft is what might have to happen. Anyhow, okay. Support your mockers, folks. Support the mock draft community. Let's start with the Houston Texans with the number 1 overall pick. The draft order is just as interesting here. In 2023, they select C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State. That's one quarterback. Someone on one of the ESPN shows set the over-under for first-round quarterbacks at 6.5 yesterday, and Mel Kiper took the over.
I saw that.
It's crazy.
I know. Nuts.
Okay, Bryce Young to the Lions at number 2. So that's the pick that you should have had if you had strong-armed them with that first-round trade, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, the Jets take the edge rusher from Alabama, Will Anderson. I'm going to skip here. Oh, Will Levis, quarterback, Kentucky, 5th to the Falcons. So 3 quarterbacks in the top 10. Another quarterback at 7, Tyler Van Dyke from Miami, going to the Panthers. That's 4. Probably a new head coach there as well, I'm guessing. Okay. I'm scrolling here. Okay. Okay. The Vikings at 14.
God, what?
So like 9 wins again.
Yeah. 12-14. Story of our lives.
I might butcher the pronunciation here, but with the 14th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, according to The Athletic, the Minnesota Vikings select wide receiver LSU, Keyshawn Boot.
Wow.
I want a mock.
Thiel's replacement.
Interesting. So it says
replacement.
maybe it's the number 1 LSU jersey, but you can't help but see shades of Jamar Chase when watching him, especially on catch and run plays. Can you imagine this dude and Justin Jefferson? I'm looking for other quarterbacks here, too.
I don't hate that. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't hate that.
Okay.
Do you?
Tanner McKee from Stanford goes 25 to the Seahawks. That's 5 quarterbacks. We'll come back to this wide receiver in a second. So they got 5 quarterbacks in the first round. I like it. Anything to help the passing game.
Yep.
Do you want the Walter Football 2023?
Yeah.
I want a mock.
I'm excited about this draft, so I'm not going to lie about this. The quarterbacks excite me.
All right, we'll see if we can find a quarterback here. So apparently no one thinks the Vikings need a plan for life after Kirk Cousins except for our little show. I don't know.
They'll just keep re-signing him. They'll just keep re-signing. He'll be 74.
I need another contract.
Just keep adding void years and whatever. Just yeah.
He sounds like.
What's going on? I'm Kirk Cousins.
So he sounds like a witch.
You like that?
Oh my God.
You like that? You like that?
All right, number 1, the Texans. No love for the Texans. Every one of these mocks has the Texans picking number 1 overall. No love.
Smith, I think they're right.
C.J. Stroud, number 1 of the Texans. Bryce Young, number 2 to the Falcons. Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida, number 5 to the Lions. It's a new one there. Okay, we're scrolling. Okay. Oh, they're going to make me click to the second page for picks 17 through 32.
That's
Super Bowl champion. Super Bowl champion. Walter
Okay.
Football getting those clicks.
More
okay,
clicks.
17,
Wally.
18, 19, 20. Okay, so they're
Wow.
in. They're in the tournament.
The tournament.
Love the tournament.
So far, only 3 quarterbacks off the board to this point.
Yeah, I think Walter's wrong.
20th to the Minnesota Vikings, according to WalterFootball.com. Linebacker from Oregon, Noah Sewell.
I want a mock.
And the write-up is very brief. The Vikings need some help at linebacker to go along with Eric Kendricks. Is this the last year of Kendricks' contract?
Well, I was going to say, first of all, I think he might not be back. Second of all,
Walter.
that does nothing.
Wally.
For me. I'm done with Wally he's on timeout for a month.
I'm wrong. He's under contract technically for next year, but there's only like $1 million guaranteed, so you're good there.
Put Walter on timeout for a month.
Okay, if you insist.
Linebacker, yeah, break. Wide receiver, I'm on board with.
I don't want to make fun of people's businesses because Federated helps a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses. They have a specialized. I don't think mockers fall into the specialized group of industries, but there's a group of industries that they know and they dive into and they have decades of experience working with. And you can find that list at federatedinsurance.com to see if your industry matches their expertise. And if it does, it might be a match made in risk management heaven for you. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right. Football. There we go. We'll keep hunting these 2023 mocks until we find a quarterback that goes to the Vikings.
I love that.
Okay. Maybe we should sign up for. Should we sign up for the premium Walter football and just expense it?
No. I got a feeling it wouldn't be worth it. A linebacker.
Does Draft Blaster have one? Draftblaster.com. A thinking man's guide. Oh, they do. It's the biggest headline on their site.
For what, 23?
We'll do this one tomorrow.
Do it tomorrow, yeah. Tease it. Tease it. Day out, 24-hour tease.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. I just looked. All right, we'll do it tomorrow. Draft Blaster 2023 mock. If that's not enough to get you to tune into tomorrow's
Come on, McShay. Come on, McShay. Pull the trigger.
You coward. Coward.